first video we're going to be watching is from the Revolutionary Communists of America. This is directly on the Revolutionary Communists of America YouTube page. And they posted a video about recruiting on college campuses. And so the Revolutionary Communists of America are one of those groups that, if anyone have any of you ever seen the Karl Marx sticker where it's Karl Marx pointing at you and it says, "Are you a communist?" and it has a QR code on it? Has anyone in the chat, if you've seen the sticker I'm describing, it's Karl Marx pointing at you. It says, "Are you a communist?" and it has a QR code on it. Has anyone ever seen that sticker? Because it's on college campuses all the time. This sticker is posted about over Twitter. Yeah, we got a couple people in the chat who know exactly the sticker I'm talking about, because the Revolutionary Communists of America post that sticker over college campuses all the time. And it's a super simple campaign for them. They've been doing it for a couple of years. And basically, you scan the QR code, you fill out a form, and that's how the Revolutionary Communists of America get a hold of you and bring them in and bring you into their whole recruiting circle. And in this presentation, which is only about 20 minutes long, what it says is 2,500 prospective new members have signed up across the country since the semester began. 2,500 new communists, specifically within the Revolutionary Communists of America, in the last month, since the semester began. And so we're going to listen to their recruiting efforts. Now, the Revolutionary Communists of America are just one communist group in America. There are many, many, many communist groups, okay? They don't all play together nicely. They are not all the same. And so I want people to know that. The Revolutionary Communists of America are actually rather insular. They're organized in basically every U.S. state. They have at least 30 organized U.S. presence. They have a presence in every state. Like, they have members in every state, but they have an organized group in 30 cities around the country. They focus specifically on college campuses. You might see their stuff out if you go to like a pride parade or like, an anarchist book fair, because usually they have posters and stuff. I actually got one of their posters at a queer bookstore in New York when I was undercover with the with Antifa in New York a couple weeks ago. They actually had the Revolutionary Communists of America poster hanging up in the bookstore, and I stole one. I'm not afraid to say it. I stole one from the queer bookstore because I wanted it. And so this is actually an extremely active communist group. Now, what's unique about the Revolutionary Communists of America is they do not embrace queer Marxism. So I've actually had the leaders of the RCA on my channel before. You guys can look up that interview. They don't think that queer Marxism, which is all the LGBTQ stuff, they don't think that's real Marxism, and they don't actually allow it within their kind of like organizing community. Now, that's not to say there aren't queer people in the RCA. There absolutely are queer people within the RCA, but they're actually pretty unique in this regard, in that they explicitly say that queer Marxism is not real Marxism to them. So it's kind of like one of the quirks of this particular group. You will also see the Revolutionary Communists of America show up and doing these big protests in Seattle. They're really overt about it too. They wave giant communist hammer and sickle flags. They hand out newspapers to people about the communist uprising. Like, they are really aggressive in their recruiting strategy. So this is a very visible group. You might see them in your cities. And today we're going to listen to their organizing effort on college campuses. All right. Well, we are getting ready for Socialism Saturday, guys. I will be also getting protest coverage above me when I get a chance to do that. But we are starting today with a video from the Revolutionary Communists of America. And they are going to tell us how they have been recruiting on college campuses. Again, the purpose of Socialism Saturday is for us to listen to the real far left, to learn what they're doing, learn how they talk, learn their language, stuff like that. If you have questions, please let me know in the chat. Actually, let me go through some super chats real quick. Thank you guys for the super chats. Metaglide says, "Open your ears and take notes. Karlyn knows all." Well, I don't know all. I don't know everything, but I do know a lot. Thank you, Metaglide. Sophia says, "I did a deep dive into your content last night. All I can say is thanks for putting this stuff out. I'm a changed man. I'll be sharing your content." Well, I don't know about the changed man part. I mean, that might be a little bit much, but you certainly do see things differently once you start looking at this content, don't you? And then Jerkstore CEO says, "Karlyn, thanks for all your efforts. What's the best way to maximize transmitting capitalist units to you while cutting out cucks like the current platform as much as possible?" Guys, the best way to support my work is over on the Substack. Again, that is Karlyn, Karlyn.substack.com. And you can sign sign up there for $8 a month, $80 a year. If you would like to send me a power chat, power chat is also available. You can find the link in the description below. I will make sure I have my power chat open if you want to send it that way. It won't show up on the screen, but I will be able to see it. So I will have the power chat open. And so those are probably the best ways that you can support the work I'm doing. If you don't want to go through YouTube, which I totally understand, but whatever way is best for you is fine with me, and I really appreciate it. All right. Well, yeah, I should, and I will be accepting it for my nonprofit soon. So hold tight on that. Anyway, let's get into our first. They just tear gassed Portland. I see. They did just tear gas Portland. Okay, I will be pulling riot coverage up here so we'll be able to see it. But again, we do really want to focus on the content, guys, because we want to make sure that we are listening to the real far left and we know what's coming next. Catherine, how I have missed you. Work has been crazy. This is a small amount to say thank you for all you do to save our nation. Thank you, Catherine. I really do appreciate it. All right. Let's get into it, guys. Let's hear how the Revolutionary Communists of America are recruiting on college campuses. And if you have questions, let us know in the chat. We'll do our best to help.
The Revolutionary Communists of America are hosting Marxist schools in Los Angeles on October 11th and 12th, Chicago on October 25th and 26th, and New York City on November 8th.
I want to go. Do you guys remember the Revolutionary Communists of America told me that I was allowed to go to Marxist school as long as I wasn't disruptive? Finally, I want to go to Marxist school.
Schools of Communism will be weekend-long educational deep dives to discuss the fundamentals of Marxist philosophy, revolutionary history, and strategy. Buy your tickets now at the link in the description to secure your spot.
I'm going to go. I'm going to Marxist school. It's over.
The Wall Street Journal and a local Dallas paper just wrote articles about the Revolutionary Communists of America. They see the rising popularity of socialism and communism and are struggling to understand why 1 out of every 3 people that are under 30 have a favorable view of communism in the United States. To us, it's no wonder that people are sick of capitalism and want a revolution. Our generation has never known peace. We saw the 2008 crisis shatter the stability of the working class, and we've been living in the broken pieces ever since. We now pay more for housing and insurance than millennials, just 1 generation older than us, and we make less than them. College graduates are now more unemployed than the national average. Even when we're putting our heads down and grinding it out, we're still only just getting by. To top it all off, we have grown up watching the imperialist massacres carried out by our ruling class. From Iraq and
Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get the protest coverage set up, and I accidentally turned off the wrong screen. My bad. Here you go.
Funded by our tax dollars. And it's not just the youth that are disillusioned with the system. Only 54% of Americans have a positive view of capitalism. 70% said that the American dream no longer holds true or never did. Only 25% think that they have a good chance of improving their standard of living. And that's the lowest figure that's been recorded. The life promised to the working class of this country does not exist. And there is a growing layer in the US that can no longer just sit by and be passive observers of capitalist decline. But the 2 political parties in America have discredited themselves. They are correctly seen as corrupt, cynical tools of the billionaires.
So I just want you to notice what he just said. The 2 political parties in America are corrupt. These are communists. Communists do not like Democrats, okay? Communists don't support Democrats. Communists don't vote for Democrats. And you really have to understand this. We have got to stop calling Democrats communists because they're 2 completely different things. Listen again.
In the US that can no longer just sit by and be passive observers of capitalist decline. But the 2 political parties in America have discredited themselves. They are correctly seen as corrupt, cynical tools of the billionaires. Trump, who rode the vote of disillusioned workers and youth, has suffered a 54-point negative swing with Gen Z voters between February and July of 2025, with his youth disapproval peaking at 72%. And despite what the even more discredited Democratic Party says, we are not in a period of fascist takeover. With his reactionary theatrics, Donald Trump is trying to distract the working class from economic pain that will only get worse. In reality, we're entering a period of class struggle. The revolutionary movements in Indonesia and Nepal, the Block Everything protests in France and Italy, will be coming to the United States sooner or later, and we are preparing for that.
Okay, I need to explain this about the Revolutionary Communists of America. 2 years ago, the group that the Revolutionary Communists of America came out of has been around for a long time. It used to be called the International Marxist Tendency. It is a worldwide international group. There is a revolutionary communist group in Canada. We actually have watched them relatively recently, earlier this week. There's revolutionary communist groups in the UK, in Australia, in Italy, basically all over the place. So this is the specific American version of this group, but there are groups within this Revolutionary Communist International, is what it's called now, that exist all over the world. Okay. 2 years ago, the Revolutionary Communists of America decided to change their name and form an official political party. Now, they didn't do this because they were trying to run for elections and win elections. They don't give a flying flip about running for elections and winning elections. They don't care. Okay. They're forming a political party because they want to give people something to join, because the Revolutionary Communists of America really do believe that we are in late stage capitalism, that capitalism is about to implode, that there's about to be a revolution of the proletariat. And basically, they're trying to get ready for when the revolution actually happens. They want to have their political party all formed. They want to have all their organization done. They want to have all their processes in place. They want as many people educated in their philosophy as possible, because they're basically saying, we think the new Bolshevik revolution is going to spark off in America at any time, and we want to be ready to go when it sparks off. And that's what he's saying here. He's saying we wanted to be prepared. That means prepared for the revolution.
And Nepal, the Block Everything protests in France and Italy will be coming to the United States sooner or later, and we are preparing for that. The youth are looking past the Democrats and Republicans and now see class struggle as the only way out.
People are asking about funding in the chat. I will tell you explicitly how the Revolutionary Communists of America are funded. They are not funded by George Soros. They are not funded by USAID. They are not funded by the CCP. The Revolutionary Communists of America are funded primarily in three different ways. They are funded by voluntary donations, so people donate money to them because they believe in the cause. They are funded by membership dues. The Revolutionary Communists of America charge 1 day's wages per month in dues. So whatever your salary is, they say, give us 1 day's wages a month in dues, and in return, we will send you newspapers, we will send you stickers, we will send you stuff you can hand out. So members not only get voting rights within the Revolutionary Communists of America, they also get stuff they can hand out. The other thing the Revolutionary Communists of America does, and you saw this at the beginning of the video, is they do these things called Marxist School, where basically they hold events all over the country where people pay hundreds of dollars to go and learn about Marxism for the weekend. And they've got 3 of those coming up. So people are buying admission tickets, and that's part of how they fund what they're doing as well. So that is how they're funded, guys. They are self-funded. There is no head of the snake that you can cut off for the Revolutionary Communists of America in particular, because they're very well funded. This is an organization that's been around for a long time. They have a lot of members. They have a lot of people paying monthly membership dues. They have a lot of people that are very involved with the organization. They have people that are making additional donations on top of the membership dues, and it is all voluntary, and there's no one big money backer. Does everyone understand? Cool.
A revolution, and we're building the party that will ensure that happens. Today, you're going to hear from comrades that are building at college campuses all over the country, not only training themselves, but going out and recruiting people that feel the same way that they do about the state of the world. In the last few weeks, in more than 50 campuses across the country, we have had over 2,500 people sign up to potentially join the Revolutionary Communists of America.
Okay, we need to really just go back. Look at this. They have a whole fucking map here. Boston, Providence, Rhode Island, New Haven, Connecticut, New York City, almost 400 people in New York City, Philadelphia, over 200 people in Philadelphia, Baltimore, Richmond, Virginia, Durham, North Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, Louisville, Kentucky, Memphis, Tennessee, St. Louis, Missouri, New Orleans, Austin, Texas, Houston, Texas, Dallas, almost 300 people in Dallas, guys. Albuquerque, New Mexico, Tucson, Arizona, Phoenix has over 100 new people. San Diego, California, Los Angeles, 100 people. San Diego, actually not that many in San Diego. San Francisco, Boise, Idaho. Boise, that's extremely red. Seattle has almost 200 new signups. Bellevue, Washington, Denver, Colorado, Columbia, Missouri, Ames, Iowa. Minneapolis has over 100. Iowa City, Madison, Wisconsin, Chicago has over 200 people. Detroit, Portland, Maine. These are all of the signups that the Revolutionary Communists of America have gotten on college campuses in the last month. Okay? Because do you know how they do this? They go onto college campuses and they do stickering campaigns with those stickers of Karl Marx pointing at you saying, "Are you a communist?" They hand out their newspapers on public transportation and things like that. So this is how, and this organization has been growing very fast for years. This organization has been rapidly expanding in size for years, and they're literally all over the country. Do you guys get this? Listen again.
People that feel the same way that they do about the state of the world. In the last few weeks, in more than 50 campuses across the country, we have had over 2,500 people sign up to potentially join the Revolutionary Communists of America. But this is just the beginning. Now comes the real task, to recruit these comrades into the ranks of the party and begin their consolidation in the ideas of Marxism and the methods of Bolshevism. These young people had never been given the opportunity to change the world until...
So what they're saying is how they recruit. Oh, did you guys send a super chat or something? Hang on. Well, you have one super chat, Trendlin, I didn't see you. I want to add, groups like the RCA detest Stalinism and Maoism, China's two capitals. That's a great point, average person. And people should know this. These are Bolsheviks. They reject Stalin. They reject Mao. They would never take money from the CCP, like on principle. They think they're too capitalist and it would corrupt their pure mission. But I just want to note what he just said, okay? So what he just said is, so those 2,500 people being recruited on college campuses, essentially, those are people who saw a sign with Karl Marx pointing at you saying, "Are you a communist?" There's a QR code on that sign. They scanned it with their phone. So they've already said to them, "Yes, I'm interested in communism." So that's what they're talking about with the 2,500 people signing up. These are people who saw something that said, "Are you a communist?" And they thought, "Yes, I am kind of communist." And they scanned the QR code to get on their mailing list. The next step after they get those college students on their mailing list is they start bringing them into their educational events and they start educating them about the Russian Revolution and their specific philosophy, because they're trying to get them more in basically they're trying to teach them, this is how we enact the revolution in America right now. So there are stages to recruitment. People ask me all the time, how do people get recruited into the far left? He's literally explaining how it works. Let's see. We got Silly Billy over on Rumble. Would you say that we are in our own Weimar Republic? Yeah, I mean, I think that that's actually not too far off, Silly Billy. I appreciate the Rumble rant. Nick says, saw a bunch of InfoWars tweets yesterday with your clips. Very cool seeing you get out there, Karlyn. People need to know your stuff. Yeah, that's a trip. That was a trip. And Harrison Smith, I just adore that guy. He asked such good questions. I did not expect the interview to go on for that long, if I'm being honest about it. I thought I was going to get half of that time. And so shout out to Harrison Smith. I really appreciate him having me on. It was a great conversation. I will try to get a video of it up on the channel, guys, at some point. But if you found me from InfoWars, welcome. And what a cool thing. Wolfgang, I just wanted to say thank you for not giving up on this. We need you now more than ever. Hey, I appreciate that, Wolfgang. Thanks so much.
Now, by building a disciplined network of revolutionaries steeled in Marxist theory, capable of communicating those ideas to the broader working class, we can prepare for revolution. Now let's hear from our comrades in Dallas, Fort Worth, Chicago, Minneapolis, Philadelphia, Seattle, and New York City.
Yeah, let's hear from them. Let's do that. Yes. Almost 300 people in Dallas.
This area that I'm standing
in. Look,
look,
they're also telling us what campuses they're recruiting on. University of North Texas, University of Texas at Dallas, University of Texas at Arlington. They're specifically telling us where they are, guys.
Around this area that I'm standing in, we had 18 comrades intervene at a university fair that they were doing in UNT called Mean Green Fling. We were able to make 90 contacts and sell 27 papers while being out here. We've also been tabling every Monday through Wednesday right over here. Pretty much at every tabling, comrades have gotten around like...
Again, do we trust their numbers? Yes. They are not posting these videos on the internet to communicate with people like us. They are posting these videos on the internet to communicate with their members. This is like being a fly on the wall, guys. They're not like conservatives get so conspiratorial sometimes. You guys are like, the communists are posting videos on the internet that are lying about their numbers. And even though none of us watch their numbers, they're trying to trick us all into believing that they have, like, no. They're not posting these videos to trick us. They're posting these videos to communicate to their members what they're doing and their recruiting efforts. We are watching their internal communication. They're not lying to each other. There would be no reason for them to lie to each other.
10 or so contacts.
The people that are joining us are incredibly energized to go and build, to study theory. One comrade in particular, they're jumping out in front of the table, calling out to people, "Are you sick of capitalism?" It was really incredibly inspiring. Basically, 1 in every 2 people you ask, they hate capitalism and they're very sympathetic to communism and love to hear what you're saying about fighting the system. Comrades have been putting forth our program, connecting with people on the streets and showing an option that can actually overthrow the capitalist system in their lifetime. In the past, when we had a good conversation, explained the role of the party, oftentimes we'd ask people, okay, do you want to sign up and write their name on the sheet? We changed this approach, and matching up with the seriousness of our content, we also matched up with the seriousness of our ask, asking them if they can join right on the spot, if they can join the party, and if not, set up a meeting with them right away. And with that, you can send them an article, or if they buy the paper, you have a concrete plan to actually discuss with them. That gives them a lot of energy to actually build the party, to learn more about our ideas.
We've also just had a very successful public event here in this building. I know it's a church, but that's where we had a pretty successful public event. We had about 10 people that weren't members of the organization show up to the event, recruited 1 person on the spot, and sold over $154 of press materials here. We've actually recruited 8 people at UNT so far of the fall offensive. And I will say with these 8 people, they're very serious, they're dedicated, and yes, they're paying a day's wage and dues.
They're paying a day's wage in dues. That is how they're funded. Their members pay a day's wage in dues.
Far of the fall offensive. And I would say with these 8 people, they're very serious, they're dedicated, and yes, they're paying a day's wage in dues.
Chicago, DePaul, Aurora.
That thirst for Marxist literature and a further examination of these ideas was felt this year. One important thing to note is the lack of identity politics in the conversations we were having at the tables.
Okay, I need to explain this to people. A lack of identity politics. Okay, so for people who are new to the far left, you might think that the far left is all about identity politics, but actually the opposite is true. The far left wants to abolish all identity because identity creates oppression. When you create identity categories, some will inherently be oppressors and some will inherently be oppressed. And so all oppression is created by the creation of these categories. This is what they think. I'm not saying what I think. I'm explaining what they think. So their actual goal is to eliminate all identity categories because they believe that all identity is a social construct based on capitalism. When we're talking about identity politics, and this is another reason that we need to explicitly separate socialists and communists from liberals, progressives, and Democrats. It's liberals, progressives, and Democrats that are doing identity politics to take advantage of identity issues in order to get votes and advance an agenda and things like that. But this is just another reason why Democrats and liberals and progressives are completely rejected by the Democratic Socialists of America and by the communists and socialists, because they fundamentally reject identity politics. Does everyone understand? Let me know if you have questions. I want you to hear that again, though. And look, he's standing outside the Student Center at DePaul University.
Marxist literature and a further examination of these ideas was felt this year. One important thing to note is the lack of identity politics in the conversations we were having at the tables. In previous fall offensives, there were these inundations with identity and who you represent. And in this year, those ideas were completely scattered by a more tangible economic concern. People wanted to know if they were going to be fed, housed, if they were going to have careers after college. And we were here to meet them and to let them know that under a socialist, centrally planned economy, those concerns can be met by the working class's efforts. We were able to convince 200 people to have a further discussion on these ideas. Those contacts have been reached out throughout the following weeks. And as of today, we've got 6 new members to the RCA here in Chicago.
We had many students walk up to the table and excitedly ask us, are you guys communists? They saw the hammer and sickle. They saw us tabling out here. And
so this is an example. Look at that guy's earrings. This is an example of how there are absolutely queer people within the RCA, but the RCA does not embrace queer politics. They don't think it's real Marxism. But just because the RCA doesn't embrace queer politics doesn't mean there aren't queer people in the RCA. Yeah, jump scare. Yeah, real. Real jump scare. Yep. I would say, yep, that he does look to be Jewish. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with that. We love Jews on this channel. We love bagels, but he definitely looks to be Jewish to me. Spartan over on Rumble. I have removed multiple RCA stickers in my area. That doesn't surprise me.
The RCA here in Chicago.
We had many students walk up to the table and excitedly ask us, are you guys communists? They saw the hammer and sickle. They saw us tabling out here, and they saw a politically organized and serious professional party organizing along class lines. And so many students saw that and immediately were writing their name on our sign-up sheet and asking us questions about how they can get involved. One student came up to our table and they bought not just the latest issue of the newspaper, they bought the prior 4 issues as well. They walked away with 5 copies of our paper and were telling us how excited they were to read it. And right then and there, we set up a—
Okay, let me just make something very clear, conservative retards. We are not going to have any conservative retardation in my chat. An example of conservative retardation is Soros funds everything and this bitch doesn't know what she's talking about because Soros is the funder of everything. Jessica, this is a retard take. This is a low IQ, Fox News, go the fuck away, like go somewhere else. Like I can't even deal with this. We are not going to do this. There is no, hang on, wait. Oh, hang on. Cry harder. Hey, Jessica, you just got banned. Bye, bitch. No retardation in the stream. Bye. Not smart enough to be here. See? 1 conservative down already. Let's see how many we get tonight. Guys, these people are not funded by George Soros, and anyone saying they are in the chat and whining that they are in the chat and insisting that they are in the chat, we're just going to assume that you're not smart enough to be here and you can go somewhere else, okay?
A meeting so that we could discuss them getting involved with the party as a full-fledged member. And even students who came up to our table with a general sense of skepticism or confusion or reluctance around the ideas of communism or Marxism, even they were asking questions with a genuine curiosity. Many of these students are incurring tens of thousands of dollars in student loan debt and questioning how valuable is this college education going to be in their economic future. They see the mounting unemployment rate. They see the increasing disparity between the rich and the poor. And were asking us what our proposed solutions are for dealing with these very real problems.
I'm actually honored to be one of the new recruits for the RCA, and I met them just a couple weeks ago, and I spoke to Comrade Christian here. I had never really considered myself a very political person until about the past year. What really pleased me when I saw the group out here standing and talking to people and tabling was about a year and a half ago. We had the encampment in the DePaul Quad, which was busted up, and a lot of students who were in solidarity of Gaza and the genocide against Palestine. They busted it up and they just tore everybody up and sent them all home in the middle of the night. And it was a little horrific. And I think attention needs to be brought and the platform needs to be made here on the campuses and in the schools, in the cities. And there's an untapped group of students who are willing to have their voices be heard and join the RCA, and I think be part of the future.
Here
University
in
of
Minneapolis,
Minnesota.
on the University of Minnesota campus, we had tabling sessions 3 times a week at least. I'm here in front of Kauffman Memorial Union, and this is the hub of where the students congregate, and we would often set up tabling sessions in front of the lawn here. I'm kind of over here in the main walkways. Wherever there was foot traffic, that's where the communists were. We also made an effort to poster all over campus and in the surrounding residential area leading up to the public event, which helped us to build.
So they're telling us explicitly what they did, guys. They're setting up tables on college campuses. They're postering the neighborhood with their communist stuff leading up to it. They're being extremely explicit about their strategy. And every time they do this, they recruit more people. Thank you, Tolkien fans. Soros is a laughable boogeyman of the conservative influencers meant to rile up their misinformed reactionary base. Well, we're not going to buy into that bullshit. We only hinge into primary source evidence here. So, guys, please make sure you have mounted the like button for me if you would be so kind. There's a shocking disparity between the number of people who are watching and the number of people who have introduced themselves to the like button. So you can give the like button a high five. You can give the like button a kiss on the cheek. You can give the like button a slap on the ass. Do whatever you want, but do something to that like button because we get more people in here when you do that, and I would really appreciate it. Malcolm, the inherent vice of capitalism is the unequal sharing of blessings. The inherent virtue of socialism is the equal sharing of miseries. Well, Winston Churchill was like one evil dude, but he got that one right. And then we've got Kimmy B over on Rumble. Karlyn, do they get any support through NGOs? No. Guys, I cannot emphasize this enough. The Revolutionary Communists of America and the Denver Communists, who are going to be watching next, they are both entirely self-funded. No NGOs, no Soros, no USAID, no CCP. Like, anyone who tells you otherwise is just lying. I'm sorry. So no, that is not real.
Ourselves up as the communists on campus. Some students would recognize us from the posters and were enthusiastic to finally connect with us. About halfway through the fall offensive campaign.
Okay, hang on. Someone's asking a good question in the chat. Someone is asking a good question. This is a fair question, Warner, so I appreciate you asking it. Not trying to bait, honest question. Antifa is in no way connected to these socialists. Okay. It's tricky, right? Because there are a lot of far left groups. There are dozens and dozens and dozens at a minimum of relevant far left groups. You got Antifa. I'm going to talk to you about 3. Okay, we are watching the Revolutionary Communists of America right now. That's one far left revolutionary group. We are going to be watching the Denver Communists next. That is another far left revolutionary group. Antifa is yet another far left revolutionary group. For the most part, I don't think there's a ton of overlap between the RCA and Antifa or the Denver Communists and Antifa. I think they all kind of operate separately and they're kind of insular. Now, there might be some overlap, though. So I'm not going to say that there's no overlap. Someone could be both in the RCA and in Antifa. And they do align in values because all 3 of those groups that I just described, they do all want to overthrow the government, but they're going about it in completely different ways. And they all have different strategies and they all have different tactics and they all have different fundraising sources. So it's not to say that someone can't be a member of both or, quite frankly, all 3. So there is a reality in which a person could be a member of all 3 of those groups. But usually I think they operate pretty separately from each other. So you should never assume that just because a person is in the Revolutionary Communists of America, they are also in Antifa, because usually I don't think that's going to be the case. But there may be some individual members that participate in both. Does that make sense?
University Teamsters went on strike, and I'm standing right in the middle of where there was a
yeah, so someone else just asked another question, guys. So I do like answering questions. Do they have the same objective or the end goals different? They all have the same objective, which is to overthrow the government. The RCA wants to overthrow the government. The Denver Communists want to overthrow the government. Antifa wants to overthrow the government. But they all have different philosophies. They all have different tactics. They all have different ideas that they're playing around with. So it's like they all do get to the same place eventually, but they may all take different roads to get there. Like the Denver Communists are not as likely to go out and be like violent and destructive. They might do it sometimes, but they're more like intellectually arguing the point. The RCA tends to just recruit more people to their cause and get them into their educational like funnels and things like that. Antifa is almost entirely around direct action. So they all have basically the same thing that they're trying to achieve, but they all may go different ways in order to get there. Let me just rewind a little bit.
Enthusiastic to finally connect with us. About halfway through the fall offensive campaign, the University Teamsters went on strike, and I'm standing right in the middle of where there was a ginormous rally for these Teamsters. The strike piqued the interest of many students, and even though the strike didn't last long itself, we were able to fold these events into one another, asking students about the strike and asking the workers about support from the students. This was an opportunity to start political conversations left and right. We did get quite a few contacts over the course of the few weeks. We got at least over 100, and at the present moment, we were able to turn 5 of them into recruits.
Hang on. Do I think these people actually have a real chance of seizing power? Yes. Yes. I think these people are going to win. I think in the next 10 to 15 years, we are going to see these people try to radically overthrow the federal government. I meant what I said on Fox News, guys, for people who saw that appearance. The Civil War is not red versus blue. It's not Democrat versus Republican. The Civil War is radical revolutionary socialist and communist versus the federal government. I 100% believe they're going to try to overthrow the government. I think it's going to happen sooner than most people think. And I believe that they're going to win when they do it, because the fact of the matter is they are operating almost completely unopposed in this country right now, because people on the right don't actually pay attention, and people on the right and no one in the Trump administration is doing anything to stop this. So these guys are running around doing whatever they want to do. They're getting no opposition from the Trump administration. They're getting no opposition from the conservative right. They're just doing whatever they want. So they make progress every single day. That's why they have been, again, they've recruited 2,500 new members in the last month. Really think about that. Revolutionary communists on college campuses have recruited 2,500 new members in the last month. And that's only going to keep growing. And no one's talking about it. And no one's doing anything about it. Let me get this super chat. Sean, thank you. Do we have any data on whether our Marxist students grow up after graduation into Marxist adults? Yes, they do. Yes, 100%. Do they stay the course, or do they get married and get a job when it comes to entering the real world? Okay. So here's the thing, guys. People on the right like to say, if you're not a liberal when you're young, you don't have a heart. If you're not a conservative when you're old, you don't have a brain. That may have been true previously, but we are in a world now where these kids have been educated in this ideology since they were 5 years old. And so there may have been a reality in the past where people were not going through a full-on indoctrination system in our public schools. That ended about two decades ago. The public schools were completely captured about 2 decades ago. So everyone that's gone through the public schools in the last 20, 25 years has gone through a public school system that is completely captured by the far left. So it may have been true 40 years ago. If you're not a liberal when you're young, you have no heart. If you're not a conservative when you're older, you have no brain. That was true 40 years ago. That was true 30 years ago. We are now getting into a place where that is not true anymore, because the indoctrination has started so much younger. And when you start that young, it's almost impossible to change your mind later. So it may have been true in the past that communists would they go to college and they play around with all these lefty ideas and stuff. And then they go out into the real world and they get a job. And then they realize how jobs work and money works and all this stuff. And they're like, oh, now I'm conservative and I don't want to pay taxes and stuff like that. It is true that that happened before. I don't think it's true that that's going to happen as much now because the indoctrination has started so much younger. Okay. Thanks for the question.
Conversations left and right. We did get quite a few contacts over the course of the few weeks. We got at least over 100, and at the present moment, we were able to turn 5 of them into recruits and 1 sustainer. We've also made over $460 in sales, and this was kind of capstoned by our public event, Why You Should Be a Communist. There were at least 10 contacts in total at the event.
Hey, Matthew, sorry I missed you last night. Sorry I missed you. I put my phone down for like 30 seconds to do something, and that was when you called, and then I went to bed not long after that. But I hope you had a good night. Matt Adams is one of the guys streaming in Portland, guys. Please support him. Follow him on Twitter. He does a great job, and we watched some of his stream last night, and I hope you guys will be out there again. I hope you guys are staying safe in Portland. Azerwing, it helps that the economy is working against them. It's providing them with confirmation bias. Well, yeah, and that's another thing is the economy is actually serving the communists right now in their recruitment efforts. That's a really good point. I am 29 perpetually and always, and no one should question that. I am always and perpetually 29. That's the way it goes.
Event. They all stuck around. We were singing songs afterward, revolutionary songs. We asked 2 to join on the spot, and they did. We asked comrades who came up to the table, why did you walk over? And many of them pointed to our banner that a comrade made. Abolish the billionaires, abolish wage slavery, free tuition, free healthcare, free Palestine. One of the new recruits we made here on campus is a comrade who moved from Louisiana. They've been following along with the Against the Stream podcast for a while, and they knew that we had a significant presence in Minneapolis. And when they saw us at a table, they walked up and they said, finally, I found you, when they saw us, and proceeded to join on the spot. They brought in another friend of theirs as well.
I had picked up the State and Revolution and the Spectre of Communism podcast around the same time. Having those 2 perspectives to kind of build off of and compare to.
It's another queer, guys. It's another queer. The RCA queers trip me out, though, because the Revolutionary Communists of American queers don't act like other queer activists. They act much more economic communist. And so when I see queer activists within the RCA, it always trips me the fuck out because they're so different than normal queer Marxists.
Brought in another friend of theirs as well.
I had picked up the State and Revolution and the Spectre of Communism podcast around the same time.
That's
Having
queer,
those 2 perspectives to kind of build off of and compare to, I think very much helped. And by the time I had finished the book, I was pretty confident that I wanted to join the party and that they had the right ideas.
What was it like listening to it in a world of, confusion? And what kind of drew you to its ideas and its message?
It felt very much like having somebody who knew what they were saying, knew what they were talking about, and was imparting this knowledge that they had collected. And they really gave some analysis of things that I had not previously known about. They talked about things like the Russian Revolution. One that really stuck with me was like the art and culture in the Russian Revolution, something I had not previously considered. And then this very educated, knowledgeable person tell me, this is what happened. This is where things were going. This is why we care. And this is our perspective. It had very cohesive ideas.
What was it like meeting our comrades at the tabling session? What did you feel the first time you saw that hammer and sickle on our paper?
I was working to try to actively find the party because I wanted to join. And so whenever I first saw one of our tabling sessions, I was riding my bike and I rode past them, turned around, parked it, and was like, I need to get y'all's contact information. And everyone was very welcoming. I got the number of one of them.
Yeah, I'm going to be real honest. Christina, I think you have positive intent, but the person who made that movie, Julie has lied about me all over the internet because Julie tried to get me to help her fundraise for that movie before she made it, and I was too busy and I didn't have time to help her. And so in response, Julie started spreading all sorts of lies about me all over the internet. She has smeared me and defamed me multiple times. So with all due respect, Julie, who is the producer of that particular movie, can go fuck herself. Also, if you think that James Lindsay, yeah, I know you didn't have any idea. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. I'm not mad at you. Because I know that people don't know this because I don't talk about it a lot. No worries. I understand that. But I would also say this. James Lindsay doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about when it comes to queer ideology. And I know that James Lindsay's in that movie because he's the one that eventually helped her fundraise. And so he doesn't know what he's talking about. And so he has actually misinformed a lot of people about what is going on in that whole situation. None of that is your fault, Christina. I just want to encourage you, look into the actual queer Marxist documents because honestly, the situation is so much worse than James thinks it is. The situation is so much worse than what was what was portrayed in that movie. And so I would encourage you to look at the primary source evidence. I'm not mad at you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here. And I appreciate your interest in the topic. And so I just wanted to make that note though. Because I don't like that bitch. She lied about me. She can go fuck herself. Billy, thank you. I appreciate your pure honesty on anything and everything. Well, I am nothing if I am not. Someone once, I once went to a conference, and when I went to the conference, they had you fill out a form that said, what is your superhero power? And I was like, I don't know what my superhero power is. So I asked a bunch of my friends. I was like, guys, what is my superhero power? And my friend said, oh, that's easy, Karlyn. It's brute force honesty. I was like, that's actually a pretty great superhero power. I'll take it. Why not?
Members, and I talked to them about when the meetings were. I came in, there was a very approachable atmosphere. There was space to talk. Overall, I found it very easy to kind of like voice ideas and try to hammer out my perspective and how that kind of, what the party's perspective was on these things.
I think this shows us the desire for Marxist ideas and for people to change their conditions by joining a revolutionary party.
My name's Ethan. I'm a member of the Revolutionary Communists of America here in Philadelphia. And right now I'm out here on Temple University's campus, where for the past 3 weeks, we've been talking to students about the need for revolutionary communism. And really the response that we've gotten has been ecstatic so far. Students are completely fed up, completely angry with climate change, with war and genocide and imperialism, with austerity cuts, the cuts to our public transportation system all around us. I could keep going on and on. But it's been to the point where at our very first tabling, before we were even set up, someone, a student on campus, leapt up to us and was like, are you guys the Temple Communists? I've been looking for you guys. And this is the kind of mood we've been met with to try and connect with this radical mood, especially amongst the youth. And for the first 2 weeks, we tabled very intensely on campus, 2 or 3 times every single day. We have talked with an untold hundreds, maybe even thousands of students here on campus. We've made over 180 signups, sold over 160 papers, and already recruited 5 new communists here at Temple into our ranks, with many more on the way. We had multiple discussions on the most recent issue of The Communist, issue number 16. It has the questions students are having, like on reformism and Zoran Mamdani, or what would a communist America look like?
Okay, hang on. We have to explain something. He just said, these are the Revolutionary Communists of America, revolutionary communists. They're handing out a newspaper called The Communist on college campuses. One of the things they talked about in that newspaper is Zoran Mamdani, who is, of course, the Democratic Socialist, who is going to be the next mayor of New York City. Now, let me ask you guys this. And there's a lot of people in the chat, so we're going to do 1s and 2s just so I can get a sense of what people think. Okay, so press 1 in the chat if you think the Revolutionary Communists of America support Zoran Mamdani. Press 2 in the chat if you think the Revolutionary Communists of America do not support Zoran Mamdani. So that's all I'm looking for. 1 in the chat if you think the Revolutionary Communists of America support Zoran Mamdani. 2 in the chat if you think the Revolutionary Communists of America do not support Zoran Mamdani. Got a mix? Lots of 2s, though. Some 1s, lots of 2s. Well, the 2s are the ones that got it right. Because you got to remember, guys, and again, if you got it wrong, that's probably because you're new, but this is an important point for people to understand. So I love seeing all the 2s in the chat because you guys know what's up. Okay. When we're talking about not radical enough, that's exactly right. When we're talking about the far left, there are basically 2 types of socialists on the far left. There are the reform socialists, which are the Revolutionary Communists of America, strike that, reverse it. There are the reform socialists, who are the Democratic Socialists of America, and there are the revolutionary socialists, like the Revolutionary Communists of America. The Democrat Socialists of America want to work within the electoral system in order to make small incremental changes that will overthrow capitalism over time. The revolutionaries do not want to work within the electoral system. They believe the electoral system upholds capitalism. They believe that any socialist who runs and gains elected office will eventually be turned into an evil capitalist. Hey, thanks, Billy, for the 1 gifted channel membership. Looks like Salvatore got that gift. Congratulations. And so revolutionary communists like the RCA, they do not support the Democratic Socialists of America. They actually consider the Democratic Socialists of America to be like their ideological enemy because they think that Zoran Mandami is not leftist enough. And they think he's basically getting sucked into the capitalist system where he will do nothing but advance capitalist values. Honey Badger, thank you for becoming a member of the channel. Really appreciate it. Okay, let's go back.
We have talked with an untold hundreds, maybe even thousands of students here on campus. We've made over 180 signups, sold over 160 papers, and already recruited 5 new communists here at Temple into our ranks, with many more on the way. We had multiple discussions on the most recent issue of The Communist, issue number 16. It has the questions students are having, like on reformism and Zoran Mamdani, or what would a communist America look like? What kind of party are we recruiting students to? Are we recruiting them to, a book club, a reading group, or maybe just, some kind of student organization like all the others? Or are we recruiting them to a serious professional revolutionary party that treats them like adults? Our first public meeting that we had just this past week, which was called Why You Should Be a Revolutionary Communist. And I think this was a big success. 15 really high quality contacts came out to it, all of which were enthralled in the political discussion, and 2 of which joined right on the spot after the meeting. And I think the morale was very high in the room. And this is only the beginning. We have a second public meeting planned in a couple of weeks from now on reform versus revolution. We have the New York Marxist School. We're trying to bring as many students here on campus out to as possible in November. How do we need to advertise this?
Hang on. Pete is asking a good question. Are these guys RCA or RCP? Okay, so Pete, what you're talking about is the RCP is the Revolutionary Communist Party in Canada. So the RCP is the one that we watched earlier this week that was talking about how they don't support individual terrorism because of the individual part, not because of the terrorism part. The RCP is the Revolutionary Communist version. Okay, so the RCP is part of the Revolutionary Communist International, but they're the Canadian contingent. The RCA is the American contingent. So they are in the same group, technically, but one is for Canada and one's for the United States. Good question, though. And guys, none of these people should be confused with Communist Party USA. Communist Party USA is basically irrelevant. They went through a whole scandal last year. They kicked out a whole bunch of people. You should also not confuse the Revolutionary Communists of America with the RevComs. The RevComs are a very specific communist group. They hand out their literature quite a bit, but they're very cult-like. And they're not really taken seriously on the far left. And they're just kind of like weird. We don't really cover them a lot, but it can be very easy to confuse the Revolutionary Communists of America with the RevComs because their names are so similar, but they're absolutely not the same group, like at all. Hey, thanks, Billy. Appreciate it. Who got it? My Florida Oasis got the channel membership.
We need to take these posters and we need to go out to our periphery, all these signups and contacts that we've made, all the new comrades that we've recruited, put these posters in their hands and say, hey, do you have any friends that are going to be interested in this meeting? Can you go into your classroom and ask your teacher if you can shout out this meeting that you're really excited for? Really, one, gets the students to spread the word amongst the rest of the student body themselves. And then 2, this also serves another purpose of immediately wrapping up all of our new contacts and recruits into the practical activity of building the party. We've established a super definite presence here on campus. Whether they agree with us yet or not, every single student out here knows that the communists are here. Boldly, they know that if they want to go to any kind of radical leftist communist organization, it's going to be us.
Comrades, I want to take a quick moment out of the episode to remind you.
Hang on. I want to be very clear. I'm not drinking a fucking IPA. I want it this is the most offensive thing that has been said in the chat all night. You think I'm drinking an IPA? IPAs suck. IPAs are pissing contests for men who want to see who can drink the most bitter beer. It's like a penis measuring contest, but with beer. Okay, I'm not drinking an IPA. I would never drink IPAs. I am drinking a pumpkin cider. I will have you know, Horse Lord. All right. Don't tell me to chill when you bring up IPA in my chat. Yeah, banned. Exactly. Banned for bad beer selection. I am offended. I am personally and perpetually offended at the notion of IPAs. The communist topic is an intricate rabbit hole. Careful newbies if you're going to look deeper on your own. Yeah, indeed. That's very true. Good advice, average person. Yeah, me for the win. Thank you, No Mayo. I appreciate it. I'm keeping an eye on you, Horse Lord. You're on probation.
Communist organization, it's going to be us.
Comrades, I want to take a quick moment out of the episode to remind you to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, please send them down in the comment section. We're not content creators. We're not doing this to make ad money on YouTube. We're on this platform so that we can give Marxist ideas to the communist layer in society and recruit them to the revolutionary communists of America. So again, like, subscribe, and comment on the videos, and share this video with who you think might be interested in joining the revolutionary communists of America. If you haven't joined the party, go down into the description of this video and click the link communistusa.org/join.
Seattle, University of
the
Washington.
Seattle communists are out here on a cold Sunday morning.
That's their newspaper. So okay, so when you join, they've got a whole look at this. They've got a whole literature stand. Maybe someone in Seattle, hint hint, can go find the RCA in Seattle, hint hint, and go take all their literature. That would be pretty great if someone did that was in Seattle. I'm just saying. So okay. So I told you guys that when new members join the RCA, they pay 1 day's wages a month in dues. In return for that, they get sent stickers and they get sent the copies of this newspaper called The Communist. And they do new editions of this newspaper all the time. And basically they hand this newspaper out on the streets, or sometimes they might sell it too. But they hand this stuff out like on public transportation to try to recruit people. It looks like they've got a little tabling stand right there where they're handing it out. But that's actually the physical newspaper that they get.
Talking to students and workers as they commute about their day, and explain to them what capitalism is and how it's not going to be able to solve their problems, why we need a genuine communist party in order to fight against the Republicans, against the Democrats, and actually represent the workers. And a lot of people are open to those ideas. We've gotten 4 sales.
Yo! Wait. What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? Look at Portland. Look at Portland. Yo! Breaking news, protest update, tear gas in Portland.
Handy, bro. I'm out of here, boys. I'm getting out of this. This is about an hour ago, Michael.
Oh, that's about an hour ago?
In Portland, an hour.
Oh, wait, I'm even behind on Portland Andy's stream. Portland Andy isn't even streaming anymore. Okay, so that's not breaking news. That was about an hour ago. Looks like Portland Andy's turning his stream off. What happened, though? Let's rewind. Since this isn't live anyway, let's rewind and find the tear gas coverage.
Thank you, Portland Andy.
You're very
Let's find that. We'll have to get another stream if Portland Andy's going offline. What happened? Yo! That's Portland during the day. It's going to pop off tonight then, isn't it? Guys, we will be doing protest coverage after we get done with Socialism Saturday, so don't worry. We'll be doing that too.
We're trying to get there, Misty.
Angela ASHKINS super chatted $10. Thank you for your coverage of the clown show Heart.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you. This is from Freedom News TV.
Wow. This is what communism looks like in practice, guys. There is something gratifying about them watching them all be tear gassed, though. Been watching you for years, but my partner is president. He heard you say for the first time talking about IPAs, and he went from mocking to, hell, I'd have dinner with her. Love you very much, Dr. Karlyn. Thank you. Appreciate it. Do they have organized militias?
About an hour ago. A little over an hour ago.
Do they have organized militias? Not really. Not in the way that you think of them, Robert, but that's a really good question. There is the John Brown Gun Club. There is the Socialist Rifle Association, but I wouldn't call them militias like you might think of them.
Thanks, T-Spy.
Wow. What a scene. All right. Well, I guess since that's not live, let's go back to our other thing. We will find some live coverage, guys, to have up on the screen there. But let's go back to our RCA video. Crazy. I knew it was going to, I mean, Saturdays are always a good day for communist nonsense, you know? All right, let's go back to our RCA video.
With people. So we're really excited to continue our fall offensive and head back onto campus once the students get back.
Here in New York, the fall offensive has been great. We've been targeting campuses in 4 out of the 5 boroughs. And from what I can tell, seems like everywhere we've targeted, there's been a general enthusiasm for communism, but more so, people have been very curious about communism and asking very fundamental questions that we are excited to answer. And this, of course, makes all the sense in the world. You know, in a world dominated by capitalism, only our enemies get to define these things. Most people don't learn about communism from...
Hang on. We got a nice big super chat. I always love seeing nice big super chats. Thank you, Wild Style. I appreciate this. What is the relationship between U.S. labor unions and communists and socialists? Oh, bro. I'm asking because one of the largest NYC labor unions, DC 37, just endorsed Mandami. What do you see as the ideological overlap between those two groups? That is such an important question. And I really appreciate you asking it. Okay. The labor unions, at least the leadership in most of the labor unions, are almost entirely controlled by leftist activists. Not all of them are revolutionary communists, but some of them are. There are many DSA members in the unions. The unions are a hotbed of leftist political organizing. Now, that is not to say that every single person in a union is a communist or socialist, because that's just not true. There are a lot of people who have to be in unions, like you're forced to be in unions in order to get jobs or to be able to work a specific place. So I'm not talking about just people who are forced to be in unions and they're not really involved. I'm talking about the people who are actively running the unions. If you listen to protest coverage and you watch organizing calls with me, you will see that on almost every single leftist organizing call, there is at least one, if not multiple, union representatives. The unions are at the core of every single one of these protests. And I've been covering this lately in terms of the Democratic Socialists of America doing this whole salting effort, where the idea is the Democratic Socialists of America have a whole program in which they are trying to get people jobs and organizations to agitate to create more unions. And all of this is leading up to a mass general strike in May Day 2028. And this is what I talked about on InfoWars with Harrison Smith this week. This is a very active thing. I feel so strongly that we need to have congressional hearings into the political organizing activities of the unions like now. And it's all unions. It's not just the teachers' unions. It's all unions. They are all hotbeds of far left political activism. They are directly impeding the Trump administration's deportation efforts. They are the ones that are organizing these community groups to basically attack ICE and prevent people from being deported. They are the ones pushing all this shit in public schools. It's just like it's top. They're the ones pushing this shit in higher education. It is top to bottom, completely controlled by leftist organizers, and they are involved in absolutely everything. So for my money, no more hearings about anti-Semitism. I'm tired of hearing about anti-Semitism. The Trump administration and Republicans in Congress have got to have congressional hearings into the political organizing activities of the unions. They've got to start actually paying attention to the problem. They have to start seeing where these people are spending their time, what they're actually doing, all the organizing that they're doing. The unions were heavily involved throughout the socialism conference that we covered a couple months ago. The teachers' unions are intimately involved with all the protest organizing. All the other unions are involved in as well. It's like one of those things where if people don't start taking the union problem seriously, then we are totally and completely fucked. So great question.
Vladimir Lenin or Karl Marx or your friendly neighborhood communists. They learn about these ideas from Tucker Carlson or Jesse Waters or what have you, Fox News. So a lot of people have been coming up to us and asking us for, the perspective on these issues from a communist. We've recruited over 20 new dues payers at an average of over $50 dues. I know that in Brooklyn, we recruited 5 new members, one of whom is a college student, which is very, very good. In Queens, we recruited 3 new students and more members on top of that. In the Bronx, we now have a series of active contacts, and we have a series of active contacts, people who are likely to join soon in a high school which is quite exciting.
Okay, Veli's
and then
down
the
in
big news from New York is
so.
that we now have our first actual foot.
So guys, this is Veli at Portland, Portland outside the ICE facility. So we now have a live stream outside of the ICE facility. Thank you, Veli. Everyone go subscribe and support Veli Ray. I will send him a tip later when I get a chance. Steve R., the Supreme Court needs to undo the the National Labor Relations Act in 1935, which is unconstitutional and has government picking winners and companies. Yeah, I don't disagree with that, Steve. Thanks so much for the super chat. Saw a reel on Facebook talking about it. They are planning on lining up at the end of all the... Yeah. So this is actually a great point. So all of the unions are trying to end their contracts in May 2028 so that they all go on strike at the same time. So you actually saw a reel on Facebook talking about this. They're planning on lining up the end of all of the union contracts May 1st, 2028 in order to facilitate a mass general strike, which probably is illegal, and maybe some politicians should be looking out for that. Maybe some Republican politicians should look out for that. I'm just saying, maybe some Republican politicians should do their job. No, Mayo, anti-Semitism distracts from the very real threat of the radical revolutionary far left. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. 100%.
Hold at NYU. We have a brand.
Veli didn't get arrested. Tommy got arrested. So Tommy did get released. I don't think did Veli get arrested after I went to bed? I don't think Veli got arrested. Veli was fine last night. I appreciate that. But Tommy seems to be out of jail. He was tweeting earlier today. Tommy has ordered a GoPro set. So Tommy is not giving up. Tommy is the hero that we need, and hopefully we'll be tuning into him later.
There, and we had a public meeting in which 16 contacts attended.
Tommy's live right now.
Very, very well. Okay. We had a lead off on why you should be a communist, and a lively discussion that followed on all types of questions, like what happened in the Soviet Union, what about China, all of these kinds of things. It was very, very good and engaging. And now we're probably going to end up dividing the Manhattan branch from 1 into 2.
We're doing the fall offensive at a high school for the first time in New York City this year.
I'm sorry, what? The Revolutionary Communists of America are recruiting at high schools? You don't say. Tell us more, please.
Good and engaging. And now we're probably going to end up dividing the Manhattan branch from 1 into 2.
We're doing the fall offensive at a high school for the first time in New York City this year. And a couple of weeks ago, we set up our table with the RCA banner on the corner of the high school. And as the students passed by when they were let out of school, a lot of them stopped by our table to ask questions. There's a lot of curiosity around these ideas. What is communism? How is it different from socialism? What is capitalism? And at one point, there was a group of freshmen and sophomores who started to chant communism, and eventually there was a mosh pit formed around our table. But outside of all of that enthusiasm, there are people who are looking to get involved. We've had serious conversations. One of the people followed us and asked us questions for a full hour, and even joined us at the social afterwards to ask us about imperialism and the role that U.S. imperialism has played. We have a high school comrade who's working really hard to build in his high school. He's been talking about these ideas with his friends, and one of his friends has actually already come to one of our branch meetings, and we recruited him as well. So this goes to show you that the youth is hungry for these ideas. They're looking to get involved, and as long as we're going out there and connecting with them, we have the potential to grow into a sizable force, hopefully relatively quickly.
Thank you,
Why am I communist?
Appreciate it.
A lot of different reasons. Like the main reason would be related to like my experience and my family's experience with healthcare in the United States. I mean, healthcare for profit. I start to realize why people distrust medicine. It's because of the profit incentive. Anything that could make a positive difference or is supposed to help people was really corrupted by the profit motive. The first time that I met the comrades, I was on the quad. When I first passed them, I was like, I kind of want to say something, but I was like nervous, like, what do I say? They were like saying, are you tired of capitalism? I am. So that really caught my attention. And I went back past them, and then I went back and I was talking to them. I talked about a lot of anger that I had, a lot of grievances, a lot of things in the world that are like so depressing, things that I have been thinking about for a really long time. And they were talking about like solutions.
We're not done yet, right? The point is that the fall offensive has kind of opened the floodgates for interest, contacts, activity. Now we are really reaping what we've sown, and we're still actively recruiting and channeling all of this energy into actually building the party.
Today,
poster.
the RCA is a small force.
Hang on, we got Silly Billy over on Rumble. Sorry, I missed this earlier, Silly Billy. A protester just said the revolution is not about following rules. Yep, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. Silly Billy says, is that Moloch the owl behind him? I mean, I'm not sure about that one. Thank you, though. I appreciate that. All right. Cool.
On the political landscape, but history is on our side. This process won't be a straight line to victory, but our message will
God, look at all
resonate
the
more
people out
and
in
more
Portland right
in the
now.
years ahead. It's a process that the ruling class is unable to stop. Right now, it's up to the cadres of the Revolutionary Communist International, armed with Marxist ideas, to carry that process to its revolutionary conclusion.
All right. Are you a communist? And get organized. That is the Revolutionary Communists of America, guys. If that's your first introduction to the Revolutionary Communists of America, you are welcome.